We're gonna mount this 75 X950 with this mantle mount here. Thing to note is it says it's good until 80 inches. Make sure you're within weight, because if you start going to like a Q80, Q90, I can tell you now, it'll probably be exceeding that weight limit right here. So, open this up, take a quick look. So I'm gonna take, you're gonna see big booklet because there's lots of instructions. That's a template, which will help you because of the weight of this mount. Hold on to these bars, put them on here. Just unbox it and we'll go from there. As you guys can see, this is just your screw packet for choosing different screws. Don't have to use this because Sony gives you their own with their own Loctech locking washers and washer itself. I'm going to screw these in here, and then after you get these arms, I like to put them as high up as they can go. More chance of it hiding the mantle mount area, because you'll see when it hangs on here, the mantle mount actually sits like right here. If you mount these all the way down here on the bottom like that, so it's just like that near the bottom, chances are you're going to see the mount when it's up. So just put it up like this. And then I'll show you how to do the soundbar mount part. So screw that in, make sure your hooks are at the top. Again, same for right here. Just mount it just like that on the back of the TV. These ones are bolted on. As you can see, one thing we're gonna be running into is, look at the spacing on the soundbar for the soundbar mount. See how this bar is not long enough to hit both? So we have to put on the attachment pieces here, which this is a solid soundbar. So I'm going to be mounting it with bolts. So it's like this. If you take a look, I'm going to snag it here, and I might snag it right there too, just so it's like this. So that way we have a back bolt there and a front bolt here. That way it's nice and solid, and we do that on both sides, and I already know that this will catch the two keyholes, and that'll give it the most solid by having a bolt here and bolt here. So definitely do that if you have that problem. Most soundbars though, if you're putting a smaller one on here, this will just cover it and you'll put those two holes in. First you want to slide your bars on. Once you do that, bolt our soundbar extensions on. Now that we have our extensions, we're going to lie that on our lap and bolt it on. So they didn't actually give me any mounting hardware to put the soundbar on here, and it's a keyhole mounted soundbar. So we have some here. As you can see, these bolts are actually tapered, so they're squared. So that way you can actually just slide them in here and they lock like so. And then we take these thumb screws and we tighten them on the back end, and they tighten it right up. So again, this slides in, we slide our mount on top, and then we tighten those thumb screws, and then it'll suck it right up. If you really want to make sure it won't slip out, you could try a washer, but to tell you the truth, once we get those tightened up, I'm not worried. So keyholed it in, tightened it up. As you can see, the way I did this, how I locked it in here, was perfect. It fits perfectly on both sides. At this point, we already have this mounted here. Next thing we're going to do is mount it, and then we'll mount the handle on the back, but we have to line it up on here. So I had to set these at an angle, so that way, in a way, they'll lock into here and I can bolt these in properly. But you can't, after you lock this in, then you have to flip your unit around so you can put these two screws in, because the actual way this sits is like so. So the next part is to put these into here like that, and then I'm going to keyhole these back into here, and then put these screws in here to lock this in. Right here. Sink it through like that. Go up to the top one right here. Do the same thing, and then we'll put the nuts on this end. That'll lock this all together, and then we can bolt this handle on. So for aesthetic purposes, we're not using the handle, and also because we wanted this piece up here, and we wanted to get this into here. If you wanted to use that, you could try and seat that down here, and then basically you'd have to play around more with this bracket so that way you can still have your handle, but that would mean that you have to go even higher above the fireplace and you need more clearance. Again, this is more of a temperature thing too. It's things that you can feel it in case the temperature is rising, but we aren't going to be having to worry about that because the TV will never be pulled down while the fireplace is on. So from this point we have this, we're going to line our stuff up and start assembling our mount. So you have to put in the 4 here. You see that plate. Make sure you'll see it's a U shape up here, a flat shape here. Make sure your U shape is up top. And then from behind, 4 screws, and that holds it on. Now we can get to mounting this piece to the wall. They give you a swivel kit. I don't ever really use that because it would end up tilting by itself. So as you can see here, we have these, and if we look inside, you have holes like that. So this sits right here and mounts through those holes, which mounts it onto there. But we're not going to do that yet. Why? Because we need to go up there, measure studs, see where they are, take this template and get this template all measured up, and so that way we know where our screw holes are, and then we have to translate that onto here. And then this goes as center as you can get it, and this mounts to the studs, so you have to see and make sure you aren't blocking it and see how it's going to sit up there. I'll show you when I do it. So as you can see right here, this is where that's going to be, but I need to show you a couple measurements. One is this one. So not this extension, but from right here, you need to measure from right here to right here. When I do that, I get about 8 inches. Once I get that, then I'm like, okay, well, I have 8 inches here, and then I measure the width of that mantle. Well, that width of the mantle is 8¼ but we'll just round it up to 9. If you come here, this is the distance between this and the soundbar, as you can see. So we would go 9 here, and 9 with the mantle has to be a minimum distance of 9.50 height up. So that way you can clear that mantle. So from there, take this template and mount it at least 9.50 up. So for me, the whole thing's wood backed, so I just center this. That's why I have this line right here. And then I put the 2 bolts in like that, and then same goes for here. You just line that bottom piece up, and then the bolts go on the inside of the bar like that. Once we got these bolts up and in here, our mount is ready to go. Make sure you have some of those mini bolts ready to go, because these will tie in through the back here into your mount through those little holes that are right there and right there and right there and right there once it clicks up. But first, let's get this up. This has to go into wood. You have to hit 2 studs at least, or wood backing, because there's so much pull-out force. If you were to try drywall anchors, you'll pull it right out of the drywall in a second. As you can see, centered up there. If you're a little bit off your level, don't worry. That's why we have this, so you can level it afterwards and tighten those up. After we do that, now you do have those casings you can slip on over. They are paintable if you aren't doing a 75 or big TV. But for now, what I like to do is put a 1/2-inch driver on either a socket, or if you're on an impact, be very careful. You don't want to over tighten. So you tighten it up is where you want. I know that I had to be very close to the top, so that way I can hold the weight, and you'll be able to know if you're tightening or loosening, because do a test pull down and righty tighty, lefty loosey. To loosen it, go left. To tighten it so it's tighter up against the wall, go right. When you first hang it on, you're going to want to make sure you, if you can, at least hand thread these 2 bottom ones in. That way your TV's not going to come off, because when you first originally bring it down, no matter what, it's going to keep trying to go down. So if you have those in, then if you have 2 people, one could be on each side of the TV, hold it, and then you can tighten this one in here, that black nub right there. And when you tighten this, that is how you're going to keep it, of course, going up. And as you can see, this is how you know you've got enough. When you move it little increments, and it stays. And that's exactly how that works. Now you can put those covers on if you so wish. And other than that, you can bring your cabling through here, plug it in, bring all your cords through, and that's a basic rundown about how this works. Make sure you put the last 2 screws up on top afterwards. These will hold these hooks in, and then make sure you tighten up these ones. These are the ones that keep it from tilting side to side. So make sure you tighten those up. And then this, of course, is your actual tilt-a-mount. So I just thought I'd show you just how much this is. You can come down that low on this fireplace, which if you look at the couch, that's like perfect seating height. And then again, you can come back up and